Thanks for joining us. It's May, and it's time for Kathy Prokop to make her monthly trip over to Cable 9 and sit down and talk for 28 minutes, and we'll do that again today. Thanks for coming by very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
I know you'd rather be in Florida, so would I. But we have a lot to talk about, and you got a busy city to take care of. And we'll begin with what will be very busy throughout the entire summer and the coming year, and that's road surfacing projects. Do you want to touch on the amount of money that's being spent, and do you want to pinpoint any of the roads that are going to be taken care of?
Definitely. It was a tough winter. Of course, the road program is in place much before the winter hit. But taking a look out there, I'll tell you, all of our cities have really suffered from this past winter. So we're really happy that we have a very good road program this year. We're getting a lot of roads done. We're spending over $900,000 on our road program. A lot of it will be done in the Heritage Estates area, which includes Bell Meadow. Moraine is one of the streets that connects into Glen Meadow Park, and this is a parking lot. They use it for the ball fields and some of the hikers and special programs. That thing has needed to be done for years. Very, very excited we're getting that particular parking lot and little street cleaned up. And we'll see some real nice improvements in our roads throughout the year.
I asked, I believe, Don this. Have you found, because of the winter was so rough this year, that you're having to spend too much or a lot of time fixing just potholes and that sort of thing, where your normal service crew could really get going on other things now that the weather's starting to break?
We've been doing them throughout the winter, but we use cold patch, and of course cold patch doesn't work the way a hot patch does, but that's what you have to use during the winter. And whereas we usually patch about 1,500 potholes this year, we are over 6,000 potholes that we have patched already. So it's been a real challenge. And even now, you know, it's rainy and it's cold, and we're just not back to that great weather that we have in the spring. So a lot of the things that we normally do, getting our gardens prepared, getting the ball fields prepared, a lot of those things are really suffering. But, you know, it's just the weather, and there's not much you can do about it. Our golf course, it's open. We have golfers out there, so that's good. But, you know, when you hit a day like we have today and it's rainy, it puts a dent in our revenues coming in.
Everywhere. And is this, I didn't ask the other guys this, Ann, but the bigger your city gets, you seem to be falling in the, and I think Aurora is very good at this, but I don't know how many roads they have compared to both Macedonia and you guys. But they seem to do a pretty good job as far as rotating every year, to the point where eventually I think it's a good cycle where they get back to the revenue, can start to take care of one that they took care of maybe 10 years ago.
Right.
Are you in a good cycle with that, or because of the growth in the city and the number of developments that do pop up later, that's a lot more roads, both to plow and both to fix? I mean, how are you on the cycle?
Well, the fixing part's not so bad. A new road generally lasts about 20 years.
Okay.
So if you have a new road installed, you don't really have to put that in your program. Again, you know, 15, 20 years. You might have to do some general maintenance or something, but as far as a reconstruction, that's a long way off. We do a road review every single year, and we have a 5-year program. We adjust that program according to which roads are the worst that year, but we have all our roads ranked, and if something moves up in the ranking, then we'll add that to the list. But we rotate throughout the city. You have to do that, because if you fall behind in that infrastructure, you have a mess, and it's just, you can't catch up.
And I don't remember, was there, when it was lean, like in 2008, did you have to cut the, I mean, I'm sure you weren't spending $1 million, $900,000 back then. I mean, was that one area that had to be brought down money-wise?
We did a little bit, but that's one of our priorities. We would cut other capital before we cut our infrastructure and our maintenance and taking care of those roads. You know, we have over 450 businesses in the city of Twinsburg, a lot of traveling public, and our residents, of course. But especially because we want to keep our businesses in town and bring new businesses, we have to make sure our infrastructure is in good shape, and we take care of our roads and all the services that come with it, the plowing.
And one other thing, what kind of, are you catching up with the things that people can't see? The sewer over in this area is from 1952, and we're going to have to do, are you starting to catch up on bringing all that from pipe and metal to, you know, this kind of century type stuff?
Well, Glenwood Acres, for one, had transite pipe, which is a very brittle asbestos-based pipe, and that in the water lines. So we are working our way through Glenwood Acres. Almost all the streets are done with sewer replacements, water line replacements, road reconstructions. We're working on Westwood this year, and you know, always I thank the residents for their patience. It's a mess when you have a total road reconstruction, but
But, as
But
you
when it's done-
But as you replace these decades-old type things that need to be replaced, it's got to make the cycle spread out that much further as far
It
as
does.
that kind of work.
You know, then those water lines, those sewer lines will be good for another 50 years.
Right.
In fact, we did a method going back about 30 years around the square. We lined all of the sewer lines, which is another way to extend the life of a sewer line, is to line them. And we used a company called In Situ Form. So now we're going to TV all the lines around the square and see if they're still holding up. We might have to do some point repairs and, you know, some sections, but we think that's still in pretty good shape. So there are ways besides total replacement of the sewer lines that we can extend the life of the sewer lines.
And when this road, go back to the road program, when will the people, I mean, when the weather breaks, will they start seeing things going on?
Westwood's already underway. It
Okay.
has been for a while. And please, if you're not a resident on that street, stay off of it.
away, yeah.
It's not in great shape right now. So that's being done. The street light that we talked about at the last interview here at Twin Hills and Ravenna Road, starting in May, so we're only a few weeks from that starting. On Twin Hills, the sidewalk program on Twin Hills and also the sewers, those are already starting. They've done some survey work. So things are moving.
Right.
Whether the weather's bad or not, inclement, we have to get this stuff done.
Okay. I'm going to jump around on here. You mentioned sidewalks, and maybe this hasn't been done in I don't know how many years, but you're kind of excited to be on, it looks like a real citywide repairing sidewalks first, and then I'm going to talk about some that may be coming down the
Okay.
road. But are you really looking this year at repairing some of the cracked problems that you have around town?
Well, we have about $370,000 in the budget. We have let out a contract, a bid, and there will be lots of repairs going on sidewalks throughout the city. Now, those are areas that the city's responsible for. If tree roots from one of the street trees have affected the sidewalk, if there's an infrastructure fail, that's, you know, maybe a line has collapsed or something, those are the kind of sidewalk repairs the city takes care of. So again, about $370,000. We always do some every year.
Right.
Those that are really
Real
bad
bad.
or, you know, it's an emergency situation. But this is the first time in a long time that we actually went out and took an inventory of all our sidewalks and ranked the areas that need to be fixed. We're working on them this year, and we'll continue
So you'll do this sort of like you do with the roads?
as
You'll
long as
rank
we
them
can.
and-
And we did that in the 90s. We've done it periodically, and then, you know, unfortunately, other things come up that sometimes you have to move that money around. But right now, we're able to get that sidewalk program up and running again. So
Okay.
it's
And not to
exciting.
confuse, that's the older sidewalks. You're looking for grant money, and one of the things they ask you for, I believe, is comments from the public. And this is, I'm talking about Liberty Park now, and the idea of putting some sidewalks there. Can you explain what kind of grants you're looking for, and what do residents do if they want to voice their concerns about it?
Okay, well, we did get some state money, but they have to go through the process, and public comment is part of that process.
Okay.
The project will start next year in 2015, but this will be a sidewalk that will connect all the way from our ball fields in Liberty Park to the Solon border, where they have biking, they have a biking trail actually, but ours will connect into that. And it will allow our residents from that side of town, from the Post Road area, to get on the sidewalks, go to the Nature Center, which is, you know, going to be built here shortly. So it's a wonderful project. Yeah, and if you go to the website, we have a section that identifies where you make public comment.
Now, is this area close to, you and I talked about before we started rolling, in 2015, they're going to begin the Route 91. So this is up by Liberty Park.
This is
so that'd
Liberty.
be the-
This is Liberty Road.
Well, refresh your mind on what's coming in 2015 with Route 91. That's a state project, though.
That's ODOT is managing that project.
They are expanding Route 91, and when I say expanding, making it wider, is that one of
Well,
the ideas?
they will be. This project will take place from Post Road all the way up to the intersection of Glenwood and State Route 91.
Okay.
And there will be some areas where we'll have a turning lane. So it'll be 3 lanes instead of 2 lanes. We'll have a turning lane, which will keep the traffic flowing going south. You know, a lot of times somebody's making a left-hand turn, like into the apartments
Yeah.
or something. We'll have a turn lane there. Intersection improvements at Post Road, and a roundabout at Glenwood and State Route 91. So everything is being worked through right now. The surveying, the right-of-way acquisition, the
Which
state
takes a long time.
takes a long time. This project actually started several years ago. and we're not even through the final design work for it yet. So all that hopefully will be in place to start that project next year.
But that's going to be a big one.
That'll be a big project.
Right. Okay. Now this is kind of funny because I have new in parentheses about your HR director. Do you want to talk about Colette for me?
Absolutely. Colette Wolosnik has returned to the city of Twinsburg as our HR director. Colette joined us in the year 2000. She was the city's first HR director. She set up the HR department, the IT department, created the city's first website, wrote the first policy manual. So she was very instrumental in the administrative organization of the HR department back then. And then she left and she went into the public sector. She was the HR director for the IX Center and just returned in February to the city of Twinsburg. So we're just delighted because we needed an HR director. She knows the employees. I mean, obviously there's some new employees, but our core
Do you
group,
know when she left originally from the city?
2007, I think.
Okay, so it isn't like she's been gone 14 years.
No,
from this, so
about
I mean,
6 or 7 years.
Okay. So it wasn't overly new. I'm sure you've grown since then.
Oh, we
no,
have.
you haven't.
Well,
employee-wise, you haven't.
We haven't. We peaked for a little bit, and then when we had to do some layoffs through attrition. So we're actually down in employment. But anyway, familiar with how the city operates, the legislative process, the bid process, all those things that are unique to government that you don't find in the public sector. So that's why I was really happy to have her come back.
You don't have to retrain.
There really isn't any learning curve other than getting up to speed on some of the policies that may have changed. And like I said, the employees know her, and she just slid right back into her
I've talked
position.
to a couple of your employees, and they were thrilled to have her back.
We're thrilled to have her back. She's great with our employees and very personable.
Okay,
Great person.
Good. Welcome back, Colette. One more thing before we decide to go and look at our meetings. This took forever, but I understand that there's going to be some new model homes by Pulte Homes being built in the Corbett farm area. So is it one of those? I remember the development I live in now. Once the model home went up, boom, suddenly a lot of things were going up. So is that going to be pretty?
Yeah, they're selling lots now. So phase 1 is underway. As you said, the first 2 model homes are just about ready. The home prices are going to be somewhere in the range of starting at $350,000 up to somewhere around $500,000. So it's going to be a really nice development.
And again, the number under 100?
96 homes.
Okay.
And you know, now that it's settled and things are moving, I'm just anxious to see it and get it done, and it'll be very good.
And again, it helps you a little bit. It helps the schools.
It does.
All right. All right, let's take our break.
Great.
Time for a little 40-second break. Go down and look at the meetings for May in Twinsburg, and Kathy and I will be right back. Back with Mayor Catherine Prokop from the city of Twinsburg. This is kind of old news because I know we've been running it on news this week, and it's by the time this airs, it'll be kind of old. But we were at the groundbreaking ceremonies, which I know this was a big deal. It should be a big deal, both to the metro parks, to the city, yourself, etc. Take us through what happened that people are seeing on Cable 9 Update.
Well, we are just so excited. Keith Shai, the executive director of, it's now Summit Metro Parks. Used to be Metro Parks serving Summit County, so I like the name change. But anyway, Summit Metro Parks, we've been talking about this nature center for 3 or 4 years, and it finally happened. We had the groundbreaking. Keith Shai was there, the commissioners from Summit Metro Parks was in attendance, and of course I was there, and we're very excited.
What will be in this building? I mean, we're talking 4,000 square feet, I believe.
Just about
It's big.
3,900 square feet. There will be a front porch, there'll be exhibits inside, there will be a small amphitheater.
Picnic area or a pavilion or
A
anything
pavilion.
like
And then inside, of course, there'll be some space that's set aside for learning areas. They
Right.
can bring groups in. Just amazing. I've been watching some of the slides about how the pavement will even lead up to the building, and that will be interpretive. They're going to have paw prints like from the black bear and different things that leading into the building will be a learning experience too. There's going to be a couple new trails. The one trail will be for people of all abilities, so you can take wheelchairs on it or strollers or whatever you choose to take on that. Connecting in, of course, to the Ledges Trail, which goes down and past the ledges. Beautiful, beautiful trail with a boardwalk. This has been an amazing partnership to have Summit Metro Parks
You know,
do this
and
for
I
our
had forgotten
city.
about this, and Keith made it a point during his speech. Don't think of this as a Twinsburg park. He wants to really the county people to realize this is a hidden gem that a lot of people don't even know about this, and it'd be a spot where you'd like them to come up and make use of that place.
Absolutely. This is a regional park. I mean, the city of Twinsburg kind of started the ball rolling when we purchased the 900 acres for Liberty Park. But since then, Metro Parks has added 2,000 acres to this.
Right.
I mean, it's incredible, the connections we're going to have down to Streetsboro and Aurora and Reminderville and the Township and Hudson. So,
But you got to be happy if you're thinking as a mayor now. They come to drive up here to check this out. They're not want to go immediately home. They're going to want to go eat somewhere, and they want to come do that. I mean, it's big. It could be big for you.
It helps the economy. It helps the entire community. We love to showcase Twinsburg. We have so many good things in Twinsburg, and this does draw people in and get to see our beautiful parks.
And what's the target date on trying to complete this? I know it's not real long.
We're hoping by the end of the year that we will have a grand opening.
Will they have parking? Are they going to add some parking for this too?
Well, you may recall they installed the
together.
driveway and the
Right.
parking lot, well, a little over a year ago. It's probably about
Okay,
2
so
years.
that's there.
So the parking lot's in, and now the next phase is the nature center.
Okay, but that's exciting. It's finally, once you ground break, it moves pretty quick.
It goes quickly then.
Okay. Tell me about Michael Yunis.
Michael Yunis, he's our new marketing director, and he's in our Parks and Recreation department because most of the activity for marketing takes place there with all of the Rock the Park and the summer camps, the special events that we have, the fitness center events. So he's stationed out of the Parks and Rec department, but he will be doing marketing for the entire city. Right now he's focusing on a new look for Rock the Park and updating everything. He will also be working on Glen Eagles Golf Course. So he has a great mind. He worked for Pepsi for many years in their marketing department. So he's really focused on being able to promote the city, promote the golf course, even to the point where we're talking about promotions, not just, you know, a poster, or we're talking about the whole marketing package and branding. The city's involved right now in updating our website. Very exciting project for the city. The website is going to be more interactive with our residents. We're going to be able to take surveys through our website. We'll be able to pump out more information instantaneously and change the look of the site. It's a little bit outdated. We were one of the first cities to have a website, and
Now, does that come out of the general budget? Or
yes, it does.
Okay.
And we changed it over the years. We updated it again about 5 years ago, but it's time now. Technology has changed. What you can do with a website has changed. So this is a big project for us, and we're very excited to get this new website rolled out.
Now, who will handle that?
This is through our IT department. Mark Gutowski is taking the lead on that. But having somebody like Mike Yunis on board to give that marketing perspective and what it should look like, he's going to be helpful in that. Plus, we have some members from the Impact Group, and they're doing some of the copywriting for us.
Right.
So it's really going to be a comprehensive project.
Now, does this free up, I mean, some naysayers may say, well, that's the Park and Rec department head's job, or that's the golf guy's job to do that. I mean, is this...
They might, but I just wish that all of our department heads had a degree in marketing and everything else that they do. They wear lots of different hats. So they do a good job with what they can do, but to have an expert come in from a big Fortune 500 company come in and be able to...
Now, has he started yet?
Yes, he has.
Okay.
Give his expertise in that area is going to be amazing. Very excited about that.
Okay. All right, let's keep going here. Let's talk about you'll be promoting the outdoor water park because you are opening it this year to other residents besides strictly Twinsburg. So was that a councilmatic idea to do that, or what
Well,
brought that
this
about?
idea came from our aquatics director, Brandon Burns.
Okay.
And Brandon has been doing an amazing job at the water park. He has gotten rid of the vending machines and opened up the concession stand again. This year he's going to have a meal programs where the parents can order meals online for their campers, and the meals will be delivered to the campers, and that's going to be done out of the concession stand. Brandon's an amazing person, and he has really taken a whole new look at the water park and the indoor pool at the fitness center with different marketing, different programs, and we're also getting a new water feature this year. So one of the things that he recommended is that we're finally at the point where he feels we can open it up to non-residents. The pool was built in 1993. It has been resident only all these years. There are so many different opportunities now for people. They go into Aurora, I think it's Wild Water Kingdom or something. But there's different opportunities now. So while we were so crowded at one time, that's not the case anymore.
Well, and there was a good analogy there that you may have two kids that go to Twinsburg together, maybe best friends, and then when they get to the water park, one may be allowed in and the other one isn't.
And that's the other thing. All the kids go to the same schools, and yet when it comes to being able to use something like the water park, only the kids from the city get to go in. So I think it's going to be fair for everybody. It's going to be a really nice amenity for everyone, and we're looking forward to it.
But on the flip side, for the taxpayer in Twinsburg who says, I pay for this, why, there is going to be a higher charge.
There is
28% is what I wrote down. I hope that's correct. It'll be a higher charge for non-residential people
Absolutely.
to use the park.
A non-resident will have to pay a higher either season pass or daily rate. But
And he's not worried about it being swamped suddenly this year with.
no,
Okay.
we're not at all. We think we'll be able to handle it really well.
I like the whole meal idea, though.
Isn't
that's
that
gotta
great?
be unique, too.
It is unique. I have a pretty young staff, and it's really good because they have new ideas, and they're willing to try them. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least they're trying something new.
Right.
And if it does, you've gotten something really good, something
And
unique.
that's popular enough, you can always fall back on the way it used to be.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, let's talk about and this is big too, and speaking of old news, we had Joe Jasny on last week also talking about disposal of the flags, which happened last week, but also the upcoming Memorial Day. That's one of the big features in Twinsburg, and it's always well attended by everybody.
Oh, yes.
Well, by the sounds of it, it'll be hopefully another great day, but you'll, I'm sure, take part in that again this
I
year.
have every year.
And that's the
Looking forward to
actual
it.
Memorial Day that it takes place.
It is. That'll be on Monday. I believe the date's the 26th. I don't want to say it wrong, so better read it on the screen. But anyhow, yeah, the whole parade from the high school down to the square, and then the service on the square. And thank you, VFW Post 4929. They do an awesome
Yeah,
job.
they always do every year. All right, tell me about the Laurel Trail grand opening.
Well, we're working on connecting our entire city with trails. Like we just talked about the
Right.
one on Liberty Road, the sidewalk connecting into Solon. We're looking at some connections into Glen Willow. We're looking at connections into Streetsboro. Well, this is a connection in our own town. We're connecting the residents at Lake Plata, Sharon Brook, on Chamberlain Road, Whispering Woods, Chamberlain Ledges. They will now have sidewalks on Chamberlain Road leading to a trail on city-owned park property up to Laurel, and from Laurel Bridge they can get down through Heritage Hills into our school areas, the fitness center, the library. It's
This will be a
great.
busy and probably a well-worn one.
It's not even open yet.
Right.
People are using it, and they're very, very excited. When the workers are off the trail in the evening and the weekends, our residents are already on it. So I know
And
that
it's been years in the making, too.
oh my gosh, that's like 30 years.
Okay, let me mention something that I noticed when I drove to Aurora yesterday. Cornerstone Park, it's no longer just rubble. They're actually making progress over there. Do you want to speak to what's been done?
Making great progress. As you know, the building, of course, has been gone for a while.
Right.
That thick concrete floor, which was part of the building, has now been removed, and they are dewatering the basement. The basement will have to be filled in. They're finishing up the environmental studies for the Phase 2, making great progress, and I think throughout the summer, by the end of summer, it's going to look like a different place.
A lot of the rubble's already been taken out. I mean, there were giant pieces there for a while in that place. And I know you're not going to tip your hat, but still some nice nibbles behind the scenes with that.
Yeah,
I
again,
know you're excited about
I'm
this.
keeping my fingers crossed that we'll have the announcement,
But
they're still talking. This has been months. Usually we hear something and, you know, a month or two it dies, but this has been about 6 months, and I know they're still working on it.
So that's good. Tell me, I wrote specialty camps down. Help me with that.
Oh, yeah. You know, we talk about our regular day camps that we have every year, and those are great camps, but there's also other options, and there's camps for arts, and there's a magic camp, there's a theater camp. So check out our website and see if there's an interest that your kid has, that we might have a camp that they would enjoy going to. Of course, there's always
Because again, it's off the beaten path.
Right, a little bit different from our regular traditional summer camps. And there's also an orientation for the parents, and that will be on May 16th from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, so that the parents understand what the rules are of the camps, how we conduct our field trips, what the campers need to bring.
Where is that being held?
That'll be up at our community center. So, you know, if you have, especially if you're a first-time parent of a camper, or a parent of a first-time camper, I guess, you know, I would encourage you to go up there so that you feel confident and secure about how things are run and what your child will be doing.
Okay. Again, the date?
May 16th,
Okay.
6 to 7.
Let me close on it with a couple minutes, and I have this written down also. I read an article which I thought was pretty interesting, and I'm sure, again, along the same lines of Colette, who knows the system, that sort of thing. Taking a look at your police department, it appears that one of the ways you can choose to go on this, as far as people retiring, is promoting within. And do you think that's the way you'd like to go? Is that the way Chris Noga would like to go as chief, as far as bringing, and I don't know the lieutenant and what sergeant, what's higher than the other one and that sort of thing, but is that what you'd like to do, promotion?
Oh, absolutely. We've invested so much into training for our officers, and they have invested themselves into a career in the city of Twinsburg. And I can think of no better way than to allowing them to have opportunities to be promoted from within the department.
So I think I read it could affect like 6 to 7 people.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we have the new assistant chief, which is a new position in the department. That's Officer Bob Gonjeski. And we have 2 new lieutenants, Lieutenant Scarrell and Lieutenant Mason. We have 2 new sergeants, Sergeant Fensky and Sergeant Sawyer, which has all that upward motion has created some openings at the officer level. And it's very, very exciting for us. It's exciting for them.
Now, Ann's talking over in Aurora about her police chief retiring, but he's been there 35 years. Chris looks young to me. He'll always look young. How long has he been with you, Noga?
Chris has been with us since '96, I think.
So he's closing in on 20 years.
He's still in his early 40s, Chris. Yeah. So he has a long way to go. And
long past your time and my time.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely.
All right, well, we're out of time. I want to thank you so much. It's good to get updated. You and I are fed up with the weather, but hopefully 1 month from now when Kathy comes back, we will be talking about, boy, it's getting warm outside.
It'll be a different
Get these roads fixed.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
See you next month.